Hey guys, welcome back to another video on Black Hat Code series, and in today's video we're going to discuss how you can code your very own proxy server. So first let me discuss with you guys what a proxy server is and how it works. Then after that we can jump over to the coding section. So let me move to my browser. Okay, so here I have this diagram of a typical enterprise network. So let's say you are in an enterprise network or a school network or a college campus network, whatever, and you are accessing your browser client from your laptop or your mobile phone, and you want to access a restricted website. Let's say in our case it's pinkmansolutions.com. But the way the network enterprise network is configured is such that they have placed a firewall, and when your request hits that firewall, it will block this particular URL request. So how can you bypass this? So in effect, if ever you like to access this website, it will be blocked by this firewall and you won't be able to access this website. And this website can be anything in your case. So if you look at this diagram again, here is our client browser and here is a firewall. So instead of hitting pinkmansolution.com directly, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna type another a website, let's say proxyserver.com. And what that proxy server is gonna do is gonna go out to that proxy server, and that proxy server will in turn make a request to the pinkmansolution.com and return the result back to the client. So this is how the flow is, and to implement this we just simply need to write a small server program in Golang, which will take the request from client and forward that same request to our intended blocked website and return the results back to the client. So this is how a very simple proxy server can work. So let's jump back to the coding section. Okay, so first line will be the package main. Then okay. Mm, so now what we'll do in the main function, we'll simply create a server for accepting the request. So this is a proxy server which will accept the request from a client. So let me first write the steps. Listen for proxy requests. Then second step will be to handle that request. Only two steps we need to implement, and for the second step, handling the request, we're gonna write another function which we can call handle. So let's begin. First, like we always do, let's create a simple web server. Listener error equal to net dot net dot listen, and in our case it's going to be TCP, and then on port 80, because we want to intercept HTTP requests, so we are going to say port 80. Then we can simply check if error not equal to nil. In that case, we'll simply say log dot fatal ln to bind on port. So that's done. Now let's listen for incoming request. Okay, now we need to accept the correct connection. For that, I'm gonna go in an infinite loop and say connection error equal to whatever listener object we created on the line 10. We're gonna say listener dot accept. So this will accept a particular connection from a client and return it in this connection object. Again, we can check if error not equal to nil, then we'll say log dot fatal. This time we can say unable to accept connection. That's done. Now we will say go. This is going to be a function handle connection, and we will pass our connection object. So we haven't yet implemented this connection handle connection function. We'll implement it. So yeah, that is all for the main function. And now let's implement our, actually this should move here. Yeah, now let's implement the handle connection function. So this handle connection is going to accept an object of type net dot connection. So here let's define few steps before writing the course. So the first step is to connect to the uh, target host, target server. So if you see the diagram again, here the target server is pinkmansolutions.com. So first we need to connect to that server. Then what we want to do is copy the source output, means whatever request we are getting from this source object, we want uh, to to the destination, means we want to forward this destination connection. Okay, so we want to copy the source output, which is which is this incoming connection request, and forward the request to the destination connection. And the third step is uh, copy the response from server target server connection to source connection, which is this connection object. So if you see here carefully, we need to run both these steps concurrently, because if say we are doing the uh, copy from output to destination, and in the say at the same time we receive some response from the server, then we need to forward the response back to the client concurrently. So we'll create a separate go routine for the second step, and we'll run this in this go routine itself. As you see, we are running this in a separate go routine, this entire handle function. So this third step will run in this handle function go routine, and for this second step we are going to create a new go routine. So let's implement each step one by one. So first thing, let's establish a connection between the new target server. So we're gonna say same thing, net.dial. By the way, net.dial is for connecting to a remote server. I have covered this in the previous video. If you haven't watched, please check the previous videos too. In our case, it's TCP, and for our target server, let's say simplicity will say google.com, because I don't have any intended server running. So for this demonstration, we'll use simply google.com running on port 80. Okay, let's give HTTP also. Now error checking. Always do error checking, guys. It's important. If you don't do it, you might see some bugs later uh, in your program lifetime. So it's better to avoid them in the initial stages. Unable to connect to target server. Once that is done, we'll say defer We need to close the object also, so we'll say defer destination doors close. By the way, close C will be caps, C will be in caps. Now the first step is done. Now let's implement the second step. For this second step, we need to create a separate go function. So we'll say go func. So in effect, this will be an iffy. By iffy, I mean immediately invoked function. So if you see, I'm not giving a function name here because we want to immediately call this. So there's no point assigning a name to a function because we want to immediately call it. So we can do like this: go a function expression, and then immediate for calling it, we place the parentheses at the end. Then let's do the same thing. We want to copy the source output to the destination connection. So we'll say error io dot copy. I've covered io dot copy in previous videos. If you don't know about this, please check the previous videos. Okay, so once this is done, so if you see, this is an if condition, so here we can check whether error is not equal to nil, and if it's nil, not nil, we'll say log dot fatal and same thing, and this time we'll simply pass the error object. It will convert it to string and print the resulting error. So what this line is doing is it will copy the incoming request to the outgoing connection to the target, like forwarding the request to the target server. Once this is done, we'll move to the third step, which is copy the response from target. So same thing we'll do here, io.copy. Because we don't need the returned value from io.copy, so that's why we're using underscore for the first returned result. So yeah, this time we'll reverse the argument. We'll say source and dst. Here, if you see, it was a destination first and then source. Here it will reverse the position. First will be the source connection object, and the second will be the destination. By the way, if you hover over it, the first is the destination according to the io.copy documentation. So we are copying the response from destination to the source. Means we are forwarding the response from the target server to the client browser connection. Yeah. Now we'll say error not equal to nil. Then it means some error happened. So we'll say log dot fatal and same thing what we did above. We'll print the error string. And yeah, I think we are done. Oops, I forgot to place the comma. Yeah. So in just 45 lines of code, we have written an echo server in Golang. So it's time to test it. Okay, so now that we have implemented this server, a proxy server, let's quickly test it. So let's run this Go program. Let me once again check the URLs before starting this. On TCP 1111, we are running our proxy server and we are redirecting it to google.com 443. Okay, so now let's run this. Let me start a new terminal. Now here I'll try to connect with the host using HTTPS 120. Okay, so it should try to establish a connection with google.com. Trying a connected port successfully set. So this is the TLS communication, the handshake for the HTTPS secure connection. So curl failed to verify the legitimate of the server and could not establish. Okay, so it's like we are trying to connect through a proxy server to an HTTPS website. So that is why it is throwing a certificate invalid certificate error. Okay guys, so for the demonstration of this video, I'm not going to hit google.com because there might be some redirections on their page and which might not work well, and also the SSL issue will be there because the certificate won't be able to verify our localhost um, domain. So that is why I'm going to start my own server, on target server, so that I can show you this proxy server will actually work. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to replace it with my own web server which I'm running on my local only, but this web server can be anywhere on the internet. And for the port I'm going to say, let's say 8000. So now I'll move to terminal, and here what I'm going to do is I'm going to start a new Nginx web server using Docker. So first let me show you that there are no Docker containers running already. So as you see, there are no Docker container running. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start a new Nginx server. So this Nginx server runs on port 80, so I'm going to map it to 8000 port for this localhost, and then I'm going to do in daemon mode, and the image name is Nginx. By the way, if you don't have this Nginx, it will automatically pull the Nginx image from a Docker hub and it will start it. So as you can see, this is a container which has started. I confirm this by doing docker ps. Yeah. So now just to verify, let's go to browser and try to hit our Nginx web server on the original port. So yeah, this Nginx server is there. Now we will try to start our proxy and hit the localhost with this port so that our request is forwarded to this server. So let me start it. What I'm going to go run main.go. So yeah, now I started it. Now if I visit localhost 1111, then it should redirect my request to the target server, which is localhost only in my case, but it can be anything. So yeah, it's working. So guys, thanks for watching this video. Stay tuned for more advanced video on the Black Hat Pro series.